All right, welcome to the Haven of Rock podcast. My name is Kevin, and I help musicians improve their musicianship and lifestyle. And today we got a good one. Today we have bass player from Crashdiet, as well as main founder from Midnight Danger, and one of the coolest cats in the game. Please welcome Chris Young. Chris, how are you doing today, man?
What's up, Kevin? I'm doing fine, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here at the Haven of Rock podcast.
Awesome, dude. I am so happy that you're here, man. I'm really, really stoked to be having a couple of minutes to be talking to you. Your story is basically pretty epic in a way. It's one way to describe it. I remember when I got into Crash Diet, I was in high school and I got into the band around 2009. And I remember just like browsing YouTube tutorials as to how to play Crash Diet songs, and then I happened to stumble upon your YouTube covers. And when I click on your YouTube covers, dude, it's like you did not just play the songs, you embodied the songs. Like you had like the posters in your room, you had like the whole look, from head to toe. You had the hair, the eyeliner, just like the way how you are now,
I am,
and
yeah,
you had like
pretty much.
everything going for it. So it's like it's really cool, man, because I've been following your journey since like 2009. So in a sense, like it's really cool to see you go from YouTube to essentially playing with the band in 2010, back when you guys were with Simon Cross, and then next thing you know, like you kickstart Midnight Danger, then you join another band, Lips, which those guys are like pretty recognizable in the sleaze glam scene of Sweden. And then next thing you know, like somehow the universe turns around and you find yourself joining Crash Diet. So that is what I call a full circle moment. But before we get there, Chris, what's your story?
Oh man, starting from when? Like that depends. Like my mom met my dad, that kind of shit.
Good,
uh, no,
cool,
but
man. So
I
yeah.
believe like you're more referring like how I started with music and all.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How did
Yeah.
you get into music before you got into YouTube, or if you started with YouTube first? But
No, no, like I started like playing music before there was YouTube around. So yeah, it started before. I don't know, like I started playing the guitar when I was 13. It was actually on my 13th birthday that I got my first guitar. It was a gift from my dad. And but I've been into music like quite a lot for quite many years before. Like ever since I remember, I was a little kid. I was just listening to whatever my dad was listening, and it was not heavy metal, not punk rock, not anything like it. It was basically 80s stuff, and which I love still today. Um, but yeah, then when I think when I found out about rock music, it was first like punk rock. It's when I had like the first, drive to start playing an instrument, and it had to be the guitar. Like I also would love to be a singer because I don't know. I think singers are always the coolest guys in the band. Not always, but mostly. And no, I love the skills like of a singer, like with like what they do with their voices and all. I think this is really awesome. But unfortunately, I don't think I have a good voice to sing. So like, let me try with the guitar, and that's how I started, like listening to punk rock bands and just getting a guitar as a birthday gift and just trying to play some riffs, very basic stuff. Then I got into heavy metal, and that's when I decided I really wanted to have a band. So I had my first metal band when I was still in high school with some friends from school, and we played like yeah, we started playing like Iron Maiden covers, which is still one of my favorite bands. And that same band, like just we had a few lineup changes, you know how it is, and then we started to write our own songs. Basically, I started writing the songs, and then we were more like into this power metal vibe or like subgenre from metal and all. Um, and I really love a lot of bands from power metal still. But it was like a couple of years later when I started listening to those 80s glam bands, and then that made a lot of sense to me because I loved the looks and the music and the way the guitarists play their their riffs and all and the solos, and I was really amazed with everything. And so yeah, I was just listening to a lot of stuff, many references from everything, like from childhood, the 80s music, and then punk rock, heavy metal, power metal, and like glam metal and all that shit. And then basically I had that power metal band. I played with that band for like 9 years or so. But in the meantime, I heard about Crash Diet the first time. Like it was actually when Dave passed away, and then I saw the news like a singer from Crash Diet found dead, and all. I was like, I don't never heard about this band. Let me check out. And then I saw the way they looked, and I was like, man, this is like 2006, and they're putting this really cool glam looks like 20 years later, 20 years after like all of those glam bands that I was listening to. And then I started checking their videos, their music, and man, I was like blown away completely. I really became a big fan instantly, and it was really sad that it was after Dave passed. But then I just became really fan of the band, and I started to play the riffs, and I thought they are so cool to play. And for me, that was full package, like fun songs to play. And for some reason, I have a connection with the way the songs are built. Uh, Mostly like when I started with the guitars. Of course, now I play the bass in the band, but started with the guitars and like the way the band looks and all. So that was like a complete package to me. And that was 2006. It was when YouTube was uh, starting. Like we had YouTube then, and so I decided to make my first covers just for fun. Like that's how I started. That's like from the moment I started to play guitar until the moment I heard about Crash Diet, and just decided to upload some covers just because, like just because I was really into it. And I think, yeah, it was cool to. It was different to make videos back then. It was like you were not thinking about going viral or anything like that. YouTube was not monetized. So that was never the idea. I'm going to be a YouTuber now. It was just like, yeah, I know how to play these songs. My band plays power metal, so it's not the kind of music we play. So what will I do? I will not find anyone in the city I lived back in Brazil that is willing to dress like this and play that music and make that kind of music. So I'm just gonna record some covers and put on YouTube. That's pretty much how it started.
It's really cool because it's like I do agree with you on the fact that I mean, even to this day, I like to put guitar covers just because I like the songs, not because I'm looking to go viral or anything like that. But so it just sounded like when you started putting out that Crash Diet covers, it really sounds like you found, your the genre and the style that you resonated with. And I gotta say, so when you started in Brazil,
Yeah.
and you eventually met the band in, I believe it's 2010, because that's when you play with them, right? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. Then what happened next? Actually, Crash Diet played in Brazil in 2008, and I got to meet them, but it was this kind of meet and greet stuff. So it was just like meeting the band, taking pictures, saying hi, and that was it. And seeing the show, it was really cool. It was such a good time seeing with. It was the Unattractive Revolution tour, and I love that album. And at the same time I was doing these covers, I had like a community of like kind of like a fan club in Brazil of Crash Diet. So it was not like official fan club, but it was there was this old social media platform called Orkut, or I don't know how you pronounce that, but it was from Google. It was before Google Plus. So and they had like it used. like it worked more or less like a forum. So we had this community of Crashdiet, and I was the owner of the community, and we built like a really strong and solid community for Crashdiet in Brazil. And that's one of the reasons why that first gig in 2008 was really successful. And I think that's also a reason why my covers on YouTube got like kind of popular with the Crash Diet fans as well, because there was this really strong base in Brazil of people who knew me from the community, from being like the owner of the community on that social media. And then when I was making the videos, I was posting there. Everybody was checking out and sharing with their friends and that kind of stuff, you know. And then the word was spreading a little bit. So it turns out that in 2010, the band had seen already those videos, and I was like doing covers of all of the songs. Like I started recording because like the first three were really popular with the Crash Diet fans. I really had a good time doing it, and it was so natural for me to just keep playing the songs. Like whenever there was like a new song being released, I would listen to that song the first time, and I knew exactly how the things were going. You know, not because the songs are easy, but because I have like this really nice connection with the band. And then in 2010, the band knew about these guitar covers on YouTube. So they had a new show in Brazil with Simon then, on vocals, and this community in Brazil, they started like a campaign in Brazil, like emailing the band, like saying, you guys should have Chris Young playing a song with you. So that was the campaign that they did. So it was that was 2010. Again, like there was no trends on Twitter, or like we were not even using Facebook in Brazil back then. So people were actually emailing the band. They were not like posting and tagging the band. They were sending emails to the band, and I think they got like over 100 emails saying that like you guys should have Chris Young playing a song with you guys. And so yeah, then they went to Brazil, and like just a few hours before the show, the tour manager from that tour, he found me, and then he was like, "Oh, are you Chris Young?" Like, yeah, and he was like, "Oh, so come with me." And then he introduced me to the band, and then we talked about my guest appearance. We played a ticket on that show, and they said like how much they liked those covers and all. And so that was like my first connection with the band. I was also like before that, there was also that I was buying merch from the store, and Peter was like responsible. He was managing the store before the web shop, so it was very usual that we were changing emails about like orders and delays. Packages are always delayed to Brazil, you know. So, but that moment in 2010 is when we really met in person, and then we had a good talk, and then we were together backstage, and then we played the show, and then we were together backstage. Then after the show, the next day they played in Rio, so we were together again, and then we started to develop this friendship. So, and we've been friends for many years. Then that's been like that was almost 16 years ago. So we became friends. I came to Sweden in 2012, and we met here. Like we had a beer together and that kind of stuff, you know. Then I moved to Sweden, and it was very usual that we were hanging out and all this stuff, you know. So yeah, that's how it went from the YouTube covers to that first guest appearance, and then friendship. Then I moved to Sweden, and then it's when like Midnight Danger started, and everything else until now. But it was cool. It was like I have really good memories from like that whole event, you know, like the way things happened, like with people emailing the band, and like just a few hours before the show, we had to set it up, and I didn't think it was gonna happen. Really, I didn't think it was gonna happen. Like people were emailing the band, and well, cool, that's it. But in the end, it did, and it was really nice. Yeah.
I bet, man. That's awesome. So it's really nice that you got to essentially build this community of fans in Brazil, and then the whole thing just kind of took over from there. And you said that you moved to Sweden in 2012, right? Now, I think like the Swedish language sounds great, but for me, it's definitely a challenge to learn how to say something in Portuguese, nevertheless, in a language that they use in Sweden. So, what was moving to Sweden like? How did you manage to get around with the culture and the language and all of that?
I have a hard time with the language as well, especially because everybody speaks English here, so it's so easy to switch to English right away.
Oh, really?
So I still have a hard time with Swedish, with the Swedish language. But like the culture, I love it. I really love the culture. I love the weather. Like even Swedes, they don't like the weather here so much, but I do. And I think it's a really nice country. I actually moved here in 2015. Like I came here on vacation in 2012.
Oh,
Then I went back to Brazil, and then 3 years later, in 2015, I moved here, and it's been like almost 11 years now. And but I still have a hard time with the Swedish language. It's crazy. It's crazy. But everything else, I think people are friendly. Um, and again, like I like the culture. I like the weather. I think it's a nice place to live. And eventually, I know that the language will come. Like I will
yeah.
finally speak like as not as a native, probably, but you know, probably be able to have like an entire conversation in Swedish.
It's all about being in around the environment for sure. So essentially, you moved to Sweden in 2015, and now I remember around that year I started seeing your project, which was called Midnight Danger, and is a synthwave project, and the sound is obviously like different from your traditional sleaze rock sound. So, what made you want to develop this vision of Midnight Danger?
Yeah. Uh, I actually started Midnight Danger in 2015, just after I moved here to Sweden. But I was listening to synthwave for 2 3 years already back then, and I was really 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 into it. And I don't know, it felt so unique for me because as I was telling you before, like I have many other influences in music, especially the 80s music in general, like new wave and pop music, like those, I don't know, AOR stuff, but even the more popish ones, it doesn't have to be like super hard rock or metal stuff. And so I've always had those influences, and I also like 80s movies, especially horror movies, but I love sci-fi and all. And then when I saw, like when I listened to synthwave the first time, it felt like everything was coming together in one package. It was another one of those groundbreaking moments as I found out about Crashdiet the first time. Oh, this is a full package of stuff I like. So I had the same feeling with synthwave, but then it was coming out of like the music or metal universe. It was a lot of things coming together, and you have more like pop synthwave, but you also have some other sub-genres in synthwave that are more like metal or hard rock oriented, and but they at the same time they could combine like horror imagery or sci-fi imagery, and uh, like there was this really strong nostalgic feeling I never had before. So I was really into synthwave, and there was also another thing going on about the same time, and you're probably gonna remember this. The sleaze rock, glam rock, like from the 2000s, was a little bit like going down around like 2015 or so. Like a lot of bands were, well, for example, Simon quit Crashdiet, and Crashdiet was silent for a few years, and
Yeah.
then but a lot of other bands, they were either like not playing anymore or they were changing their style. They were playing other, like they were trying to get a new approach to their sound, which I understand. But it was like all at the same time. So like they were not looking as glam anymore. It was not the same thing as like 10 years prior, like the 2005, 2006, 7, 8 Lee's glam looks and sounds. So it was getting more modern, and all of a sudden the looks, the hair was not big anymore.
Yeah.
So like there was nothing exciting in my opinion. Like maybe a few things, but it was not like an entire genre, like a scene that was exciting. It was a few bands, a few songs here and there that was exciting. And then I found out about synthwave, and my attention just shifted to synthwave almost completely. I never stopped listening to the glam stuff, but I was really, really, really into synthwave. And then uh, moving to Sweden, like I had that goal, like I need to find a band here. I didn't even think about like starting a band because I didn't know many people here back then. So I was like, I need to find a band who is like looking for a guitarist or a bassist and all, and that was harder than I was expecting. Because again, the scene was dying. Like even the clubs and the venues here, they were not promoting those events anymore. Not like they used to do, like again 10 years prior and all. So it was kind of hard to get into the scene here. And then I just connected these things. I need to start doing something. And synthwave, like most of the synthwave artists, they are solo guys. They are solo people doing music from their home studios. It's like, yeah, this is something I can do, and like I love this genre so much. I just want to try to make one song. This was my thought. It's like I have something to do to be involved with music until I find a band. And but I didn't have any idea of how to produce a song in synthwave. I didn't know how the softwares would work, the synthesizers, and like how do I produce this. I don't know. It was just weird. But then I got like a mini keyboard, like a MIDI controller, got like FL Studio, and like let me try to get into this. And I had so much fun, like digging into this universe and like learning all of these things and like building the song and learning how to build a song like in a software, which is completely different from what I was doing before, which is like playing a riff, recording, and then playing the bass on top of that, recording. It's like it's completely different, but I loved it. And I finished first single, which was called Evil Night. And then like, oh, I also need if I'm gonna release this, I need a name for the project. How will I call it? And then I had a list of many names, and Midnight Danger was the coolest. And I think it has everything like to do with this vibe, like horror and darkness and all the stuff. But and then I just released this first song, Evil Night, and it was really successful within the genre. Like the fans who were listening to the same songs as I was, like other bands like Dance with the Dead, Carpenter Brute, Perturbator, which is actually a solo guy. Now he has a drummer live, but people who were listening to these guys, who were my favorite artists back then in this genre, they started listening to my music as well and like saying how good it was and sharing and all the stuff and buying the single on Bandcamp, which is something I think I never sold a song or a demo or something like that until that point. Like I was just recording and just putting it out like for free or giving CDs away, So it was, and then people were actually buying the single like for €1 on Bandcamp, and it was selling quite good. And it was like, yeah, I need to make another one because I had fun, and I'm seeing people are really enjoying. It's not about like selling the song, but that is a sign, selling the song itself, but that's a sign that people like it. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it. Then I made a second single, and it was just the same. And then I made a third single, and that was it. I started producing more and more songs of synthwave. But there is a connection, I think, in a way, with the other music I do, like with sleaze, in a way, because there is this kind of, especially when I started playing live with Midnight Danger, I was like, oh, what kind of looks should I put in this? Like, should I go on stage? Like, how? And I have to be myself. Like, it had to be me. So I just went like normal sleaze, black eyeliner stuff on stage, and people really enjoyed it. And then I thought that like, yeah, that glam looks from the '80s bands, that was like sleaze, and that could fit totally into the kind of synthwave I do, which is this more like dystopian horror, like New York alleys with smoke thing, and then you have creatures of the night, and then you have big hair and makeup. So I think there is a connection. There should certainly there is a connection, and so I'm totally comfortable with doing synthwave the way I do because and being only myself, like I have a live drummer as well, but all the creation, all the music, it's only and all like the artistic thing about Midnight Danger is like on me, and I can do whatever I want, and I just mix everything I like in that project.
Much definitely. And I remember seeing a couple of videos from Midnight Danger, and you definitely take it to another level. It really shows how your vision evolved and it collided into, like you were talking about earlier, into all of your influences. Now you did mention that you started with guitar. Does that mean that when you started Midnight Danger you had to learn how to play all these other instruments, or how were you able to manage to be a multi instrumentalist? Because essentially, like you said, it's mostly a one man project in a way.
Yeah. Well, before I got my first guitar, when I was 6 years old, I had some keyboard lessons. I didn't mention that because that was not like it didn't go anywhere in that moment, you know. Um, but I had some keyboard lessons. But I couldn't play the keyboard. It was just like back then, and I learned like the basic stuff. But I understood like what are the musical, like the basic musical theory, you know. And then when I was playing the guitar, I actually used a lot of keyboards just to come up with melodies, you know. Like when I started playing the guitar and had my first power metal band that I was talking about, I used a lot of keyboards just to play the melodies. That was really simple. Like I knew the notes, like I know like the basic music theory, so I can just when I have a melody in mind, instead of playing the guitar, I go on the keys and then I just press like the main key and do the melody, and then I change the chord or like just one key, you know, so I can feel how it goes. And when I started doing playing synthwave, this is or producing synthwave because that was even before I produced songs on synthwave with Midnight Danger for 2 years before I actually had to play them live on stage. So in this process, when I was creating the songs, I was like relearning a lot of stuff from keyboards and all. I'm still like not a super pro keyboard player, but I know how to play the things in the synthesizer that I do with Midnight Danger, and then I had to just relearn that kind of stuff. But I think because I was the main songwriter in that power metal band back in the day, I learned like I was able to understand how everything else goes. You know, it was not like just going there playing the guitars and understanding the key or like the notes, the chords, the solo. It was I had like I needed to understand like how everything goes, how the drums are going to be built in this riff, and what can I do with the bass? So the bass is not just copying the guitar, you know. And yeah, we're playing power metal, so we need to add some orchestra stuff. So I just need to learn the keys a little bit, you know. So I've learned how to build songs in a way since the beginning. And then when I went to synthwave, I just did the same process. And when I had to start playing live with Midnight Danger, then I had to practice a little bit more of those melodies and synth lines that I was playing on the keyboards. But I had that notion from before, you know, how should the drums go here? Like, what is a good bass line to follow this guitar standard? Okay, but there's no guitar, it's synthesizers. So, but still, like, how should I ride the bass on top of that, you know? So yeah, it's more like just being a songwriter from almost the beginning gave me that notion of how to build stuff. And then when I need to play an instrument, I just have to practice a little bit. I think I wouldn't be good with drums. Like I tried a few times. So although I know how to build the beats for Midnight Danger or for well other genres as well, I I just can't sit down and play something. I don't know how to do that. At the same time, I was saying like before I can sing. Like I know how to build the vocal melodies and all, but I don't know how to sing. Like I can't reach some notes and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, like singing is definitely it's definitely a whole like different animal on its own. It's probably one of the hardest skills to learn in a way. But also, man, it's really I again I love listening to a couple of pieces from Midnight Danger. It sounds like you started you had this project going for a few years, and eventually through, correct me if I'm wrong, but eventually throughout the course of, I think it was maybe 2018 or 2019, you end up crossing paths with Lipz, and then you end up joining the band Lipz, which is another theatrical sleaze glam band. And those guys are killer. So how did that ended up coming into like fruition?
Yeah, it actually we started having our first chats about it like end of 2017, which was just when I was about to release the first album from Midnight Danger. And the thing is, I knew Lips from when they started, like when they released Ghost Town. I think they started a bit before that, but when they released Ghost Town, that was their main uh, song for probably is one of the most popular till now. But it is a really good song. But I remember when the video came out and the song was released, it was like really awesome in this sleaze glam scene in Sweden. It's like, yeah, of course this band is from Sweden. Like
Yeah.
it's the land of sleaze and sleaze metal and glam metal nowadays. That was back in 2011, I guess, not 2010. Yeah. So still today there's so many good bands here, but that was like there every week there was something new coming, and then like oh, Lips, yeah, I know, it's from Sweden, I know. So and it was really awesome, and I got into the band, but then they disappeared for a while. Then they were back with like an EP, and it was so different from Ghost Town, and like they didn't have the makeup and the hair anymore. But then in 2017, like December, they released like a teaser for the album that was about to be released. That was Scary Man, and that teaser had like a small part of the music video for Get It On and Scary Man, the title track, and it was really nice. It was like these guys are back into Ghost Town. That's awesome. Just gonna getting like I'm gonna start listening to these guys again, check if maybe they released some stuff since then and I missed or something. But then I noticed that in the video they didn't have a bass player, like in that teaser video, which was part of Getting On and Carry Man. I was like, this is so awesome, but I don't see a bass player there. And maybe they're looking for a bass player. I don't know. I have no idea. So I just found Coffee, the drummer. I think he was already my friend on Facebook back then. And then I sent him a message. Oh, I see you guys don't have a bass player in the videos, and it's fucking killer, man. But are you looking for a bass player? And then Coffee just answered right away, like, yeah, are you interested? Like, we don't have a bass player for now, and we were thinking about releasing the album first, but if it's something you're interested, we can try. Like, yeah, definitely. Then he connected me with Connie, the guitarist back then, and he sent me the songs. And I wasn't playing the bass, but again, I knew how things
Yeah.
usually go when you're writing music and all. I was like, hey, I play the guitar. Maybe it will be kind of easier to start with the bass. So I got a bass. Like a friend borrowed me a bass he had at home, and he was not using. And I just started to learn the songs, and then we had a rehearsal, and the rehearsal was great. And I think they like I remember like I went to that rehearsal room, and I knew like all of the songs like from like the entire songs. Um, and then I was ready to play all of them, and they weren't ready to play all of them still because they were so much involved with the production of the album. And when you're making an album, you write the songs, but you don't actually get to rehearse the songs. Like you start recording, and then you start adding things here and there. So they knew the songs, but they had not rehearsed the songs themselves. So I was like, I'm ready to play, and then we had to figure out some stuff by ourselves. But again, I was ready. I knew how everything was going there. So we had that rehearsal. It was really nice. And then the next day they messaged me like, "Are you do you want the job?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." And that for me, like my thought back then was like, now it's full circle, right? I thought that was full circle because I moved to Sweden and I was looking for a band, and I didn't find a band, but I started my own project, Midnight Danger, which started to be successful. And when that was happening, then I found a band. So like, yeah, this is full circle. Like I made it work with this type of music, but now I have a band, and it's when I joined. So I joined Lips. Uh, well, again, we started talking in December 2017, but then we had that rehearsal in 2018. I released the album with Midnight Danger, and we had to wait to announce that I was in the band until like the album was coming. So we had to wait for like I don't know 3 4 months before we actually announced that I joined the band because they had the other music videos without me, right? They had like Terry Man and Get It On, and
Yeah.
they wanted to release those videos before, and then I announced like, yeah, we have a bass player, because it would be weird if they announced me and then I was not in the videos. So that's how it happened with Lips, and we had a good time. It was really cool, especially in the beginning, like when we were promoting Scary Man. Like we did really cool shows, and there was like a lot of energy, and a lot of people were excited to see the band, and we played really cool gigs.
Yeah, man. And I remember seeing, I think like Dangerous is one of Dangerous and a Scary Man are one of my favorite like Lips songs. like that band like definitely delivers energy, and I like their sound and all of that. I think they have a unique look with the whole gothic glam
Yeah.
neon green pink. It really suits them. Yeah, speaking of like, full circle moment, I think right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but now we are entering into the 2021 to 2023 period, and I think that's also when Gabriel was in Crashdiet, and I think that a couple of months later, if I'm not mistaken, I think that Eric Young ends up like leaving the band, and then Michael Sweet, which is Martin's brother, he ends up joining the band, and then I also do understand that Peter was out because he had to like recover, take some time to recover and take care of his health, and they also needed someone to fill in for Peter. And I think that's when you ended up filling a couple of shows, and one of them was, I believe, was the Rest in the Sleaze festival. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is that how you ended up substituting for bass with Crashdiet?
That was like the Restless Leaves was actually more recently.
Gotcha.
Like actually, I was filling in for Peter like quite recently. It was September last year. But he's been away from the band in several other occasions in the past, and I was called in a few of those occasions, but then I couldn't go. Like I remember first time they asked me about it. I think it was then, as you said, like 2023 or something. Gabriel was still in the band, and but I think in the end they canceled the show because it would. I don't know what happened. They. I think it was Peter himself that got in touch with me, or I can't remember now. No, that first time was Martin, and then he was saying that Peter was not gonna make it to that tour or whatever, to those gigs, and then he asked me if I would do it, and yeah, I said, oh, of course. But then in the end, they had to cancel because it would be like a lot of, yeah, it would be a lot of hard work to make that happen. Then in 2024, then it was Peter himself that asked me if I could stand in. But I was just leaving the next day for a tour with Midnight Danger. We had an European tour with Midnight Danger in that September of 2024, so I would be away. And I, of course, like I couldn't cancel the Midnight Danger stuff. It would be just like catastrophic. So I couldn't play those gigs. So it was like the second time they called me, and then the third time was September last year, and then I'm glad I was available and I could do it. And I remember Martin sent me a message like on a Wednesday. I was like, yeah, call me. It's an emergency. I was like, yeah, what happened,
Yeah.
bro? And then he was t- telling me about this show in Germany, which was actually on Saturday, so like 3 days before. And then he said that Peter was not okay. He had a problem in his back, so he was at the hospital. It was really bad. And so he invited me to play that show. He asked if I was available, and they were such like it's not a bad mood, but they were really sad, about the whole thing. They were really like the vibe was really down because yeah, because they thought they were gonna have to cancel, and then Reston's Leeds was just like a few days after. It was 5 days after that show in Germany. So of course, like Crash Diet is a band with a long uh, history and a lot of tragedy and chaos, in the process. And then they were like, "Oh no, not again! Oh fuck, not again! Like, what will we do now? So maybe we should just give up." Like they wouldn't, but that was kind of like the vibe. But then he got in touch about that show, and I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, like, it's gonna be my pleasure. Like, I'll be happy to do it. And And then it was like, yeah, it was like, oh, what is the set list? And then he sent me the songs, like about 12 songs, 12, 13 songs. I was like, yeah, sure, but I can't get this ready for Saturday. But then he was like, yeah, if you could come tonight when we rehearse, that would be great. And that was
Hmm.
like Wednesday morning, so like, oh, 13 songs on the bass. I never played, like, although I had this really good connection, as I said, I know how the songs go, but that was on the guitar. Like, I didn't know for sure about the bass. Like, in short notice, like, of course I could learn the songs, but I had one afternoon, not even like a full afternoon. Like, I had to leave home like 4 p.m. and and then like I had to learn the songs from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and
Jesus.
I've learned like 12 songs. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I did. And then I just went to the rehearsals, like, okay, guys, yeah, let's fucking do it. And they were in that kind of vibe I told you. I was like, oh man, that's kind of sad, but yeah, this is gonna rock. So we went to Germany on that Saturday, and it was a really good time. Like, really, it was a really good time. Like, because again, like, as I told you before, like, I became friends with the band, but I never met Elliot before because he was the new guy in the band. And I think
Yeah.
I met Michael when he because Michael actually was the drummer for Midnight Danger once. So that's when
Oh,
we recorded like a video, like a promotional video, and he was the drummer in that occasion. So he played the drummer in Midnight Danger once. So, and then we had a good talk on that occasion. I think we met a couple of times before, but we it's not like how I was friends with Peter and Eric before, even Simon. So I was actually like getting to meet those two guys for the first time. It was the first time we were having beer together and traveling together, doing something. And Martin I knew from back in the day, but we had a really good time. It was really nice, and we played a really cool show. Like, the show was great, and people were really happy about the show, and everybody was happy. And then we came back home really happy about the show. And I understand they were still like really concerned about the Wrestling Sleaze gig that was next week. And the day after Wrestling Sleaze, there was Finland, and that Raston's Lee's gig was really important because it was 20 years from Raston's Lee's, and like they put a lot of effort to make that show happen. It was sold out. There were people coming from the U.S., from Japan, from Brazil, from all across Europe. People were coming from this gig to see that gig, you know. So it would be just a real tragedy if they had canceled it. And then Peter was still in hospital. He just couldn't play that show. And so after Germany, it's when they asked me if I would join for Wrestling League in Finland the next day. And I said, yeah, hell yeah. I was already doing the opening for that show with Midnight Danger, so I had double duty that night. Like, I opened the gig with Midnight Danger and then played with Crashdiet. But yeah, so I'm playing with my two favorite bands. It's my favorite synthwave band or my favorite sleaze band. So yeah, having such a good time, you know. And but then I had to learn more songs because then on that show we were playing the entire Rest and Sleaze album, you know. So I had to learn new songs as well, and then we played like the full Rest and Sleaze plus a lot of songs we played in Germany. But it was good, and I think it was a huge success. You know, that show was really successful, and it's a really big responsibility because again, Peter is he's like from the classic lineup, and he's been in the band for a really long time. And as I told you, people were coming from all over the world, and it was a sold out show for Rasmus Lee. So that was a huge responsibility. Like, I didn't know, are people gonna like me on stage? Like, are people gonna accept this? Because like, I know, like, I myself sometimes when I go see a band and it's not, yeah, we have like a substitute member here, it just feels awkward to me. So that is what I was afraid back then. Like, people maybe are not gonna enjoy this show that much as they could. but I'm really surprised that everybody loved it. And I remember the moment I stepped on stage, people were yelling and cheering like crazy, and that was like pure adrenaline. And I was like, I'm so thankful to be here, and I'm just gonna deliver. And again, from all those many years recording the covers, and uh, as I said, that really strong connection. Like when I stepped on stage that night, I just felt like I know exactly what I have to do. Like I know how it goes. I know the job. I know what I should do here, you know. And then I had fun. Like sometimes when I'm going on stage, like with another project, even with Midnight Danger, I'm really like focused. Oh man, I shouldn't mess up with this part and all. But with with that gig with Crashdiet was just natural. Like I had a really good time. I was only having fun and playing the songs, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And so yeah, I think we got, not only I had that really good connection with the music. I think the four of us got a really good connection at that moment specifically. Like it was good in Germany some days before that, but that one in Wrestling Leagues was really awesome, and all the feedback we got, and I think that's how we feel now when we're doing our stuff. You know, the Crash Diet nowadays. I know, like, as I said, like it's been a lot of chaos around Crash Diet usually, but it feels really good now. And now with the four of us, like we have this really nice connection, and everything goes like really smooth and and nice. It's always a lot of fun.
I gotta say, I definitely, agree, and is one of the reasons why, I'm happy to be a fan of Crash Diet, because the band, resilient is only one way to describe the band. Like that band has endured so many hardships throughout the years, and it's really astonishing to see them continue with such passion, with purpose. And it's really cool that you're in the band, because you also, because like I said, I've been following, your journey since 2009. So it's really cool to have somebody that brings just as enough value and passion to the band. And it really takes another level. I think that in every album, whether it was with a different singer, with um with whoever was like replacing somebody else, I think that every every person has had their chance to add, um to sprinkle a bit of their personality and value into the band. And I am a fan of Wrestling's Leaves just as much as I am a fan of um Rust, or Automaton. I'm not sure how to pronounce the album of 2022, but every album just brings something different. And I honestly love this new chapter of Crash Diet. So with that being said, what is something new that you're experiencing recording with Crash Diet and making that new record?
Yeah, I got used, like with Midnight Danger, right? So like I just sit down here and I do my own stuff, and there's no one around, and it's this very introspective thing. So it's very different. But like, yeah, I recorded changing the melody with Lips as well. So, but that was like a really short process from my end. Like I recorded the bass lines really quick, and I didn't get too much involved. And like with Crash Diet now, the songs were ready as well. Like they've been trying to finish this album for 2 years before I joined, So, but it's really cool to, in a way, to see a functional band working with you in like every step of the process. One of the reasons I really enjoyed doing Midnight Danger for I still do in that sense. It's because again, I take the decisions myself and I just sit down and do stuff the way I want. And I remember in previous experiences, like I'm not saying any particular band that I played, but previous experiences playing with other people, it was always like there was always you know arguments and like problems, and we were not really connected. And I want to do this, and someone else, oh, I want to do it that way, and then like you never get anywhere. And then when you record something, or when you go to rehearse, like there's always someone mad. Like sometimes I was mad, like I don't want to do this. Fuck, I'm never able to do stuff the way I want. But that's not the case with Crash Diet because again, going back 20 years ago, such a good connection. I had like a really good connection from the beginning, and so everything we do now is just natural. Every time we're gonna record a video or whatever, we're gonna record something. It's just natural. Like we're on the same page, and it so we're moving forward, together. I don't feel like there's anyone holding the band back or anything like it. And that's a really different experience for me with other bands I played in the past. Like I just see things moving forward, and that's really hard to achieve when you are in a band.
Absolutely, and I think like being in and somebody said this to me earlier, but being in a band is kind of like a marriage, like within like four people in a way. Sometimes you
Yeah,
come
I heard
across
I heard that before.
yeah, and it's like because sometimes like it's hard, man. Everybody just has like so many ideas, and you have to go through. Sometimes you come across egos with different people. Sometimes like other people want to take control over like the vision of the band. So it's like is awesome to see Crash Diet continue to move in the new direction. As fans, like what can we expect for from the new record that we have not heard within the other records?
Hmm. I mean, this record is basically like a comeback to the roots of Crash Diet, like the more sleaze sound, Like if you listen to Automaton and even Rust, is a little bit more polished, and it's good songs, of course, and a good production. But that thing from the roots of Crash Diet that actually made the band what they are, what Crash Diet is today. And so we are just like going back and revisiting that. And there's a lot of attitude in the songs. And they are like they have this raw energy. So in a way, I'm not saying we're gonna drop like a new approach to stuff, but we're going back to the roots with this fresh lineup, and that alone has a new energy to it. So it's just we're gonna feel as the band is like starting again. We're just starting, like we're going back to day one and just like full energy doing stuff. And I think this is really good. I think fans are gonna feel like we're gonna bring back that energy to the fans as well. I think we already did with the new single, especially like when Satisfaction came out. I think that was like all the hype about that single, and then the other three singles were good too, but they are more into the context of the whole album. So, and I think the whole album is just gonna make everything even better. So I would say like just what you can expect is this energy. Imagine like we were not going back, 20 years ago, but we are just bringing that energy back, and with a fresh lineup. And I think this is, but this is good, man. Like sometimes I see a few bands like not gonna say changing style, but like trying different approaches. But and trying to deliver something new, but they are not even sure about what they are doing. Like they are not,
Yeah.
they didn't figure out yet. And then they put that work out, and it's like, ah, maybe we shouldn't have done this. Oh, maybe this works, so that's cool. But then with this album, we're sure about what we do and what the fans like, and I think that's the best kind of work you should expect from a band. Like imagine take a band that you like, your favorite band, and you know the next record is gonna be just what you like from that band, but new. Like it's new songs. It's not like a cover. It's like new songs from what you love the most about that band. So that's Art of Chaos.
And I definitely look forward to like hearing the whole album. Rest in the Sleaze is obviously holds a special place in my heart as well because "It's a Miracle" was a song that drew me to Crashdiet when I discovered them. So that sound does definitely has a special place in my heart as a fan. So I'm definitely looking forward to the record. Chris,
Awesome, man.
I'm gonna pause you for a second. So I'm gonna launch this episode on Friday, which is May 8th. So
Okay.
when I wrap up the episode, I'm gonna say I'm basically gonna advertise the album as if it's already out because this episode will launch on Friday, May 8th.
All
Okay,
right.
so I forgot to say that at the beginning. So just wanted to give you like heads up. But
Sure.
um, all right, Chris. So Chris, before we wrap up, right? I wanted to ask, like, what is success to you, and what advice would you give to somebody out there that is pursuing their full circle moment?
Mm, that's a good question, man.
Isn't
Because
it? Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I have like a solid answer for that because I don't usually think about that myself. Um, I mean, it's super cliche to say like never give up, and but it makes sense because in a way, like I look back 20 years ago, like 25 years ago, when I had my first band, and like all the people I met uh through the years and in this like music scene and all, and a lot of them, most of them, just gave up. They're not playing anymore, and that's all right because maybe that's not what they were meant to do. That was not their dream for real. Like it was just a hype for some time. But if you feel like music is really your thing, just keep doing it until you get there, and so, but that works. That that has been working for me. This is how I do stuff, and I didn't change the style either. That's another thing. People when they see, oh, this is not happening. I really love this, but this is not happening. It's not working. It for some people it's okay to change. Maybe you're going to be successful with some other stuff, but if you're sure this is what you love and if this means a lot to you, just keep doing it. Be yourself forever. That's important. So it's what I do. It's what I did. It's what I will keep doing. Like this is me, and uh, this is the kind of music I love, and I still do it like many years later. And I think uh, like being successful, um, it's basically like doing what you like to do, like being able to do what you like to do, and what makes you happy, and that's for me. Maybe some other people will think being successful is some other thing. Some people will maybe having a lot of money, or that's good too, of course. But some people will have different definitions for that. But in like especially talking about the music thing, yeah, I like to go on stage and play stuff I like and to dress the way I like, and being able to do that for me that's being successful in music. And the only way to do it is if you just keep doing, just fucking keep doing whatever you're doing, and that's it. That's my view. But it's kind of hard to say, man, because again, people have different definitions of being successful, and it could happen much faster for some people. You see that, like, if you think about it, I've been doing from the moment when I started doing the covers until I started playing with Midnight Danger and joined Lips. It took so many years, and I understand a lot of people will just give up uh, in the process, or and change and do other music or like not play music at all. I kind of understand that, but again, if you understand, like if you decide, if you find out that being a musician and playing this particular kind of music is what you love, just just keep doing it and until you succeed somehow. Maybe it's not going to be like the right project you wanted, but something near, like again, as I told you, like I had my first feeling of full circle moment when I joined Lips. And then I had it again when I played Resting Sleaze. And then I had it again when I ended up joining the band. So in these different occasions, if you ask me the same questions, I maybe would give you different answers. So it's always learning as well if you think about it. Like you're always learning, and when you reach something, just keep going. Like go take the next step. Don't stay where you are because there's more to come if this is something you want.
1000%. And like, I think that I definitely agree with it because in for me, especially as artists, I think that part of what we're really looking for is we're looking for like the freedom to do what we like and pursue our art. So in that sense, I think you hit the nail like right in the head. But with that
Right,
being
and
said,
like give time, be patient with all the shit.
yeah,
So a lot of people have a lot of anxiety with stuff because they are expecting things from others. But be patient, do your stuff, and keep moving. That's it.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think that, if you don't have a timeline, if you just do a stuff because you're focusing doing it, like eventually you're gonna get somewhere.
Yeah,
If you
absolutely.
concentrate on putting in the work and just concentrate on being you and you don't have a timeline because you just focus on doing your craft because that's who you are, eventually you'll get somewhere.
Absolutely,
But
man.
yeah, man. And with that being said, Chris, it has been awesome meeting you, man. Thank you so much for taking your time and being on the Heaven of Rock podcast. I am hoping to see you guys, and I will see you guys sometime in the near future, whether it is on the Monsters of Rock cruise or when you guys come to the US or dragging my ass to Sweden. But I'm going to see you guys sometime in the future because I need to see Crashdiet play again. Chris, thank you once again for being on the podcast. On that note, I can't wait to see what you guys bring on in the next couple of months. And guys, for all of you that want to check out Crashdiet's new album, Art of Chaos, it is available out now. Go ahead and give yourself the gift of music. What a great piece of sound that is. Chris, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kevin. It was my pleasure, and hope to see you at the shows, man.